welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. One of her advocacy helping you to transcend distant with astral Reiki to experience energetic shift, tangible sensations, and keep the nervous system relaxed. No other than Miss Scarlett Seebach.
Hi, Daniel. It's great to be here.
Welcome, Miss Scarlett. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. So I practice something called astral Reiki, which is something that I actually made up myself. It is Reiki, but basically what I do is I astral project over to where my client is and channel Reiki energy through my astral body rather than my physical body. So it makes the experience significantly more clean and intense. So it's more efficient, generally speaking. I also do crystal consultations for anyone who wants to learn how to use their crystals more effectively, and human design readings as well.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Scarlett. Thank you. And today let's talk about the intersection of energy, healing, and spiritual growth. As its core, how is energy healing more than just a therapeutic technique, and how does it function as a direct catalyst for spiritual growth?
So, so many different ways. Honestly, it's difficult to choose. but but I can actually take a client as an example that I took care of this morning. She has been a little stuck in her spiritual journey as of late because she's a little overwhelmed, and so I worked on her today. And the main thing that kept coming up for her as we were clearing out all kinds of stuck energy and trauma and emotion was this need to be cherished. And that was a part of her spiritual journey, is to learn how to actually cherish herself rather than looking for someone on the external to cherish her. So that's kind of a, you know, it's not even that unique of a situation. I think a lot of people really want that cherishment and want to be cherished by another person because they don't necessarily know how to do that for themselves.
Hmm.
So, stripping away a lot of that trauma literally helped her be able to breathe better and to be able to see that more for herself.
Interesting, Mrs. Scarlett. While many seek energy healing for relief from pain or anxiety, how does the process inherently invite us to look at the spiritual or emotional root cause for those symptoms?
Well, that's going to depend somewhat on your practitioner, but for me, when you look at the body and you look at the energetic mechanisms that make up the body, you can usually almost see where the source of the problem is really occurring. So just as an example, and this tends to be true in medicine as well. You gotta love it when stuff crosses over like that. But if I see a lot of inflammation in the body, then the first place that I will usually look is the liver, because usually the liver is causing the inflammation. That's not always true. Sometimes there's some other trauma that's happened, but you can usually look at the liver to see the source of the inflammation, and then when you look at the liver, you can see that it's usually angry because the liver tends to house a lot of anger. So we now know that the root cause of your pain and inflammation has to do with anger. And for women, at least, that usually presents itself as depression. So if a client comes to me who is depressed and in pain, we can usually look at the liver and work on supporting the liver and do a lot of anger expression exercises to work on the depression and the inflammation at the same time. Does that answer your question?
Yes, definitely, Miss Scarlett. We often use physical metaphors for energy. How does
Mhm.
learning to speak the language of our own subtle energy system deepen our self awareness and spiritual intuition?
So, if you understand how your subtle body and how your subtle energy is working, then it makes it a lot easier to get to the root of your trauma. So, with that example, if you're angry and if your liver is presenting as angry, what are you angry about? You can at least pinpoint the emotion to figure out what direction to go in. So, I mean, maybe you're angry because your father abandoned you, or maybe you're angry because your mother was abusive, or maybe you're angry because you don't like the politics of the day. It all depends on the person as to why they're angry, but it gives you a direction to look when you look inward.
It depends indeed on the mechanism or mechanics and process, Miss Scarlett. During the profound
Mhm.
healing session, the sense of a separate self that needs fixing can dissolve. How does this experience of ego dissolution mirror advanced spiritual states and accelerate growth?
So, when we look at ego dissolution, the main thing that usually comes up is this feeling of intense connectedness. The ego serves to keep us separate from one another. So, when you dissolve your ego, you connect with everyone and everything. And when you can do that, it comes with this profound sense of empathy,
Hmm.
which when you can empathize with anyone and anything, then that means that you are no different from like a star or a nebula or a rock or a baby or an ant. And to be able to step into that kind of experience, an experience that's very unlike your own, is a rather intense form of spiritual growth.
Interesting again, Miss Scarlett. And is the energy itself doing healing, or is it focus, loving consciousness of the practitioner?
Yes.
Yes.
It's it's very much both, and the level in which you can experience the healing is going to depend on your willingness to receive it, but it's also going to depend on the abilities of the practitioner. The energy is the same, the capacity to hold the energy is going to vary.
Hmm. A real danger is using energy work to avoid confronting unresolved psychological wounds, so called spiritual bypassing. How can you
Yes.
tell the difference between genuine transcendence and mean avoidance in the healing context?
Pain is usually a pretty good indicator.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
if you're in psychological or physical pain, it's, are you moving through that pain? Are you genuinely letting go of that pain? Or are you just shoving it aside and pretending it doesn't exist?
Many spiritual traditions emphasize transcending the physical. How does energy healing, which is works through the body, validate the body as an essential partner and gateway to spiritual awakening?
Ooh, that's such an interesting question because it really brings up a lot of questions about the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Because, a lot of spiritual work, you're very correct, it's about transcending the body altogether. But we do have this new wave of spiritual work that's very much about being in the body and finding joy in the body and recognizing that we incarnated in these bodies for a reason, to learn and to grow. And I think that's where in person, though astral Reiki to a lesser extent, it that kind of energy work, it is very body focused. And I know for me, when I was first starting on my own journey, a big part of receiving Reiki for me was learning to become comfortable inside my own body and learning to find balance inside my own body. And I'm honestly not sure that I'm even all the way there yet. I try. I try every day to be comfortable in this vessel, but I admit I do ultimately find this vessel somewhat uncomfortable. Um, and but energy work has been so instrumental for me in finding any level of comfort in this body and any level of trust and love for this body. Um, so I wouldn't be anywhere close to being willing to accept this vessel without energy work. I was just in too much pain. So,
Mhm. So, Miss Scarlett, how can a chronic illness or persistent energy blockage be viewed not a failure but a scared messenger pointing toward specific integrated aspect of the self that needs to love and attention for spiritual maturation?
that is such a good question, and it mirrors my journey so much, because I have chronic conditions. I have fibromyalgia and a couple of other things that I won't go into, but that is part of the process. It's feeling into energy work to be able to go inward and figure out why that kind of thing is happening to you. And also recognizing that, yes, any 3D problem has spiritual roots, but that doesn't mean that, like, you can fix it spiritually. You sometimes also need to fix it in the 3D. You also need to love it in the 3D. Um, and that's something that energy work has really taught me, that energy work is not the end all be all. Sometimes you need some vitamin D. And,
Yes,
you
vitamin D.
know,
True.
yeah. So there's always multiple layers to everything. And so I might have forgotten your question. I'm hoping somewhere along the way I answered it.
You did. You
Okay.
did answer, Miss Scarlett. So,
Okay.
can energy healing provide a supportive container when someone is going through a profound dark night of the soul, or is it
Mhm.
role more situated for periods of stability and light?
Oh, no, it can absolutely help you when you're going through a dark night of the soul. Now, if you're going through a dark night of the soul, yes, energy work can absolutely help you, but I don't recommend that that's the only thing that you do. If you're going through a period that's that difficult, because a dark night of the soul, not everyone even survives a dark night of the soul. And I think that's important to remember. It's like some people do decide to leave when they're in the midst of one. So if you're experiencing a dark night of the soul, you need to ask yourself, it's like, do I just need energy work, or do I maybe need therapy? Do I need additional friendship support? What support mechanisms do I need to be able to get through the hard time that I am experiencing? Because it may be that energy work is just a piece of the puzzle, but it definitely can offer a safe space for you to come, for you to release your emotions, for you to help move through that experience. But again, I think it's just a puzzle piece.
A puzzle piece, oh, sure. And from your perspective, how does energy healing interact with the concept of karma or soul lessons? Can it help to resolve and integrate these patterns more gracefully?
Absolutely. Um, oh my goodness, on so many occasions, yes, just 100%. I can I'm gonna try to narrow it down to one example, but
Go ahead.
I did have a client a while ago who was having knee issues, and she just couldn't quite get her knee to work right, and as it turned out, it was due to an injury that she experienced in a past life. So we needed to work on healing that injury in the past life, as well as the pain that she was feeling with the knee injury in her present life, and sever that tie so that she wasn't experiencing the pain from the past life, because she's not in that life anymore. She's in this one. So that's just one of so many examples that I could give, but absolutely, past lives, soul contracts, ancestral work, it can all be done in an energy work session. Maybe not all at the same time, though maybe.
Maybe or maybe not. Who knows, right, Miss
Mm.
Scarlett? So, as astral Reiki, crystal, and human design expert, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I think my short-term goal is to get my book finished. I am very much hoping that it'll come out on November 10th, but I'm self-publishing, so I have to do it all myself. But it is a book on crystals. It's basically every question anyone's ever asked me in a crystal consultation is answered in that book. So it goes over the obvious stuff of cleansing and charging and activating your crystals, but we also have a significant section on crystal grids and how to actually use your crystals, so that they're not just like a pretty piece of decor that you hope is working. Um, so that's short term. As far as long term, I would love to be financially independent. That would be great, and
Awesome.
I would very much like to open, yeah, I'd like to open a facility for healers. I find it unfortunate that so many people who are in the spaces that I am in, we are forced to learn the ins and outs of business in order to do what we do, and I would very much like to provide a space for people to not have to do that and to focus on actual healing work.
Actual healing, for sure. And good luck to your goals as well as your financial independence. And I want that too, Miss Scarlett. Everybody does have
Yes.
financially independence. Awesome.
Mhm.
So good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to try your path?
If you're just starting out, um, discernment is so very important. It's just like picking a doctor, if you're looking for someone to do energy work on you. It's just like picking a doctor or a therapist or a best friend. You really want to make sure that that person aligns with your goals, aligns with your personality, and just in general is in alignment for you. So yeah, don't I would recommend you don't assume that just because a person does energy work that they're automatically going to be a good fit for you. So that's number one. Um, and a good book to start out with would be The Power of Now. When you're just starting out, that's an excellent one.
Hmm.
So, and of course, the subtle art of not giving an F. So,
Yes, and thank you for that advice as well as your recommended book, Miss Scarlett. So tell us, is the ultimate destination of this path a state of perfect, interrupted energy flow and a permanent bliss, or is it the capacity to hold loving awareness through all of the life's dynamic and often challenging energies?
hmm, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think those are goals, but as far as the ultimate goal is, I'm not sure we get to know that. Um, I think ultimately we are here to learn and grow, and however it is that you choose to do that, as long as you're not hurting anybody, then that counts as spiritual growth. Um, yeah, it's those are definitely worthy goals, and if you get to them, that's great. But as long as you're learning and as long as you're growing, that's the real thing right there.
Yes. You need to grow, people. Don't be stagnant.
Mhm.
We need to grow every day, even an
And
inch
remember
by
to
inch.
rest.
Yes, remember of the rest for sure. And Miss Scarlett, beyond specific modalities like Reiki or pranic healing, what is the universal essential principle that makes any form of energy healing effective for spiritual development?
Love, authenticity. It's
Yes.
as long as you do it with love, as long as you're true to yourself, then yeah, anyone can channel it.
Anyone for sure can challenge anyone. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, Miss Scarlett, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Scarlett, if someone listening is skeptical but curious, what is one simple, accessible way they could begin to explore the connection between their own energy and spiritual life today?
Put your feet on the ground. Your bare feet, put it on the ground and see if what you feel. That's the easiest, most accessible way to start is to put your feet on the ground.
Yes. And what they can feel, Miss Scarlett, once they are barefooted.
That's gonna be different for everybody. I know for me, the first time I really did it, and I'll be honest, I didn't quite put my feet on the ground. I sat my rear end on the ground, and really focused in. I've never felt so connected. to just the earth and the stars and everybody else. Um, Results will vary, but it's an excellent place to start. If you put your feet on the ground and you close your eyes and you pay attention to what the grass or the dirt or the sand or whatever else feels like on your toes and on the bottoms of your feet, maybe even the tops of your feet. Just really focus in on what that actually feels like. Then you're one step closer to connecting with the earth itself.
Definitely. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Scarlett. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now? And of course, your upcoming book.
Sure. So you can check my website. It's yourabundantdesign.com. That's where you'll find pretty much any of my offerings. And again, I do astral Reiki and crystal consultations and human design readings. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I'll let you know when the book comes out.
Yes.
Yeah, and I do put out a newsletter every once in a while. I would not call myself consistent where that's concerned, so you will not get spammed if you sign up for it.
No spam, people. No spam. So, people, let's support Miss Scarlett Seebach because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering healing to come. So, Miss Scarlett, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Daniel. It's been lovely.
Martica, people, see you soon.